And these days, I am also more into practical Dhamma. I like to, in the past, I used to really indulge in all the concepts and, dependent origination. They're all great. I still like it. But I also wanted to sort of apply myself from where I am, here and now, the way I am. What can I do to take my next step? That sort of started to become more important. However small, I felt if I moved even a tiny bit in the right direction, that is making progress, rather than sitting here and wondering how am I going to get there, which seems a bit, a difficult terrain even, or unknown even, where we are heading. But rather, just what can I do right here, right now, with my life the way it is, whatever kind of life I have. Even in monastic life, our life can be up and down. We can have busy periods, we could be sick, we could have ceremonies, we could have problems. All kinds of things happen too. So with all of those things, we have to keep going, right? So wherever we are, wherever I am today, wherever I am now, also I want to be able to apply myself. So this is what was fascinating. That is why I kind of like. So mostly how to practice in daily life. So this is what I want to encourage. I'm definitely not going to go through the book because time is going very, very fast. So you will have to do it. At least I'm encouraging you the way to read it, what to keep in mind, and then hopefully you'll benefit from it, right? So James Clear, the author, his central question was, how can we live better? So he's not like a Buddhist or a spiritual person maybe, but he was just asking the question, how can we live better? And this applies to us as well, because the ultimate goal, or this is where we are heading. Every step, every time we practice, the quality of our life increases, and that is actually a way that we can find out whether we are making progress, which is kind of nice. And he likes to find great ideas and explain them in a way that is easy to use and apply to daily life, which is also nice, because sometimes, some books we read, it's hard to understand. So it's nice somebody else reads them, process it, and then present it in a bit more easier way for people to understand. And I found this to be true. So that is one. And he focuses on how to start and stick to good habits. We have all started, right? I'm sure each one of us. Our problem was not being able to stick to it, right? So there are some good methods. So that is helpful. How to make good choices and avoid bad ones. It's also good, right? It's tricky. It's really tricky because our mind tells us all kinds of stuff. When it wants to have things, it will justify itself. But how do we really make good choices and avoid bad ones? And another good one. How to accomplish more in less time. That is important, right? All of us are busy people. We have very little time. We have so much to do. So that is also helpful if it is methodical, if it is putting in the right kind of courses. Because if you put the right courses and you're persistent in putting in the right courses, the results actually come. But if you are inefficient and if you don't put the right kind of courses, of course, it'll take more time. So this is helpful as well. And how to create better systems and processes. So that I'll come to you if you don't understand what that means. And how to achieve meaningful results without overwhelming yourself. This is also important, right? Sometimes you really, my mom used to call this soda bottle effect. When you're so excited, it bubbles up and it's all fizzy and so much energy. After a while, everything goes flat, and but to maintain and get meaningful results without getting too overwhelmed by. Even I have found myself when I get inspired, I have a whole daily schedule, and then I look at it, and then somebody was laughing at me. So my daily schedule, there's no way you're going to do this for 2 days. So this is what you mean, right? Sometimes you try when you're inspired, and it becomes too much. So we need to know the right balance and do what is possible. And doing what is possible without getting overwhelming, then we may be able to sustain it. So this is also why. So reading this book, I found good tips and good ways of maybe getting there. So does this sound attractive to you? Then maybe you might want to read the book, I don't know. But if it is not, well, ask for your money back. Not from BSWA, from the author, okay? Or consider it a donation if you bought the book from here. And I also want to just say that, this book, as you read it, it is mostly focused on achieving worldly goals, right? Because this is just written for a general public. So always just replace it with your spiritual goals. And that's a really nice thing, because you can just stop, read it slowly. And when you see, if they say you want to become fit, or you want to get into shape, or you want to become a millionaire, then you can see, what you want. And in your spiritual path, and reflect, okay, in this occasion, what do I need to do? So that is what, this is not going to give you information for your spiritual journey. That is something you will have to take out from the suttas and apply to it. This is going to tell the mechanism or processes or systems that you can put into place. But it is your homework and stuff to just take it out from the suttas. I will give a little bit of a helping hand by bringing up a few things so you get an idea, and then you can do your work yourself. Yeah, so mainly, if anything, before I stop, even if I run out of time, I'll stop and I will actually say a very practical way of how to apply Noble Eightfold Path in daily life, right? So that is helpful just to get you started. Just this is what I hope to do, rather than saying too much about all the things in the book, which you can explore or you can watch a YouTube about the book. And so I also have to give a word of caution. So however, like any self-help book, it is important to read it with a critical eye and consider how its ideas might apply to your personal situation. Also watch out for any ideas that goes against the teachings of the Buddha, because remember, the worldly concepts are based on greed, hatred, and delusion. Like how to become rich, how to become attractive, how to become successful, how to bring up your ego, how to make your sense of self better. So that is, there you have to be careful. Yeah, there you have to be careful. And the way this book is presented, there is a tendency to build the sense of self and the sense of controlling. So it is important to bring your attention to the Buddha's teachings on non-self and the universal law of causes and conditions. So don't look at it as controlling, rather the idea of putting in causes. Now this is in the suttas. The Buddha says putting in the causes, but not controlling with willpower, but doing. There's something to do, because the Buddha says the right effort. What is the definition for right effort? I'm going to say in Pali, so you know it is the Buddha's words, and then I'll say in English. Chandan janeti, vayamati, viryang arabati, chittang pagganhati, padahati. So chandan janeti means you arouse desire, you arouse inspiration. Chandan janeti. Vayamati, you put in effort. Viryang arabati, you bring up energy. Chittam pagganhati, your mind is set on the goal. And padahati, you really exert yourself. Now this is not during meditation, right? Otherwise you all have question marks coming up. Even myself, because not during meditation. Like I said during the sit, meditation time is receiving that present of all of your hard work. So this right effort is sense restraint, the work that you do outside of your formal sit. This is your everyday life, every wakeful moment. Every wakeful moment there's things to be done. So, but it is not done in a way of controlling with willpower, with stupidity, rather with wisdom, putting in the right course. So as you're reading this book, read it in that light. Otherwise you might end up creating a big controlling sense of self, and I do not want to take the blame and lead you in the wrong direction, which is why I wanted to say the word of caution. Right? So, and after that, so who can benefit from reading this book? If you want to build better habits and break bad ones, if you want to overcome procrastination, actually procrastination done at the right time isn't bad, but done at the wrong time in the wrong way can be a problem. If you want to make lasting change, if you want to improve personal, professional life, if you want to understand science behind habits, because it's also helpful sometimes to know how does this work, right? Then you can sort of fine-tune it to your personal needs. And if you want to maximize your potential for enlightenment, no, it doesn't say that, but for us that is what it is, right? Increase our potential. And if we are skillful, we can direct it towards our spiritual awakening. A special guest has arrived. He's sitting at the back, which is fine. It doesn't matter whether he's at the back, we'll pick his brain as and when necessary. Thank you, Ajahn Brahmali, welcome. You're a bit late, but that's all right. Excused. That's okay, let him sit there, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so now let's get into the framework of this book. Having said all of this, are you inspired so far? Yeah? Have I sold it? Let's see more, okay? So the core principle of this book is the power of small habits when repeated over a long period of time, as mentioned earlier. An atomic habit is a little habit that is part of a larger system. Just as atoms are building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. So, how is this in the Buddha's teachings? Buddha's way is that gradual path, right? So the gradual path is the system, which is why we've put so much emphasis. I mean, Ajahn Brahmali talks about this, give workshops on this, to bring out the importance of focusing on the importance of gradual training, gradual path, right? Gradual practice. That is the system. If you don't do the factors of the gradual training and you want to sit here and try to really exert yourself to watch the breath and get enlightened, it is not going to really happen because it is a gradual, it's a system that works to get into the results. So you have to put in place the right kind of system and focus on building on the system. So this is important, and this is where sometimes we miss out, because sometimes unless you attend to some of these sessions, I'm very grateful for Ajahn Brahmali because he brings this up a lot and you get to hear, but it's not always heard enough times, right? Because a lot of emphasis is on meditation, breath meditation, and sometimes a little bit on satipatthana, but not on all these other things that looks like very simple, like how you conduct yourself during your day. And this really matters. This really matters if you want good meditation. And that is the system. That is a system in place, that gradual training or the Noble Eightfold Path. They are all parallel. They are also the same. You can also tell gradual path to the Noble Eightfold Path. And it builds up on foundations. And you have to work on those things, and also in the right order. This is also necessary, right? So the right order is necessary, otherwise we are not ready. So you can't go out of context. So this is where understanding your system, what system do you need to get to your goal? If it is enlightenment, awakening, then it is given by the Buddha. But of course, if you have other things that you also want to achieve to become or make yourself more prepared for this, then you have to see which is the right system and how to apply yourself. So this is where, so instead of focusing on the goal, focus on the system, which is important, right? Because some people, it's like, I'm worried about dying and life is so precious, the Dhamma is going to vanish after I die. I really want to get enlightened right now. Right. And some people actually get very stressed. I know this happens to people, right? And that is really goal-oriented, really focusing on the goal and thinking that I have to somehow, push myself, control myself, put in and exert myself. And this is where we go wrong and practice in the wrong way. Instead, find out, learn about the system to begin with. It's not necessarily obvious. Understand how it works, how the system works, the big picture, the whole map. It's helpful, isn't it? It is helpful to know the whole map and see how things link. This is like, the meditation psychology, how the mind works, understanding the whole process. I'm not going to say all of that. This is beautifully presented many times over. I also did that during the retreat, and maybe I can't remember yesterday's talk, but understanding that. How does Sila empower us? What's its place? How does that fuel mindfulness? All of those things, when you understand, when you make sense, then you are inspired. So this is understanding and learning your system, and then finding out what are the little things that I need to do in order to make those steps work and function and build them up, cultivate them. So this is why it is quite nice to focus. So this encourages and shows the importance of focusing on the system rather than the goal that you want to achieve. Right? So actually it takes away that real controlling factor rather than putting in the causes, which is how the Buddha taught. And let's see. So just to give a little bit of a core framework, I'm not going to get into detail. As I said, we are going to run out of time. Just a tiny taste only. Here it says there are 4 behavior changes, laws of behavior change given in this book. And the author here uses cue, craving, response, reward. So at the heart of this book are 4 steps modeled for building good habits and breaking bad ones. And it mirrors the psychological feedback loop that drives human behavior. We even know not only human, animals too. How do you train your dog? This is how it is, right? So cue, craving, response. Cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. Craving is the desire or motivation behind the behavior. Response is the actual thing that you're going to do, and the reward, right? Do you think there are rewards in the spiritual path at every step? There are, but we need to look for it. Sometimes we overlook it. So that is why, every time we meditate, what do we normally say at the end? When it's about 2 minutes to finish, we say, now stop and reflect back, And if you feel peaceful, if you feel joyful, that is your reward right there, right? Even after giving something to somebody, notice the joy in your heart. After saying something nice, notice the joy. These are our little rewards. And it is that reward that makes us to crave, to want to do it. And it is the wholesome craving. It's not like, this is already in the suttas. There was a sutta where somebody asked, this path is about getting rid of craving. But, because, somebody asked, what is this path about? And the Buddha, it was Venerable Ananda, I said, right? Ajahn said something about, about arousing the right kind of craving. And he said, isn't the path about ending craving? And then he says, but didn't you have some craving to want to come to the monastery first? He said, yes, but where is that craving now? Well, it's gone when you get there. But in order to get there, you still have to have. So even to do the spiritual path, you still have to have some form of a desire. So that is what. But what keeps you want to do it is when you see some rewards. But the beautiful thing about the Buddhist path is it's a path to happiness, right? Every stage, it's stages of happiness. Joys, blisses, all of those things. So as you experience, as you really notice them, that gives you that inspiration to want to do it. So these things are important. I'm just bringing up for your own reflection as you read this book to apply it into your path, but I'm not going to be able to do it fully because time goes very fast. So, and the author translates this loop into a practical framework called the follows, yeah? And to build good habits, you have make the cue obvious. So if you want to meditate, find a nice spot that is attractive, it is peaceful. Put your meditation cushion in a place not far back in the house, but in a place where you'll see it a lot. So when you see it, you feel like I should sit, something like this. Make it attractive, yeah? So make it comfortable, make it not in a cluttered part of your house, but more in a nice place, something like that. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Right? So you don't have to go find your meditation cushion at the back of your wardrobe and clear the whole house before you get to sit. You will not sit, right? So that's why have it ready already. And make it satisfying. We'll talk about it. How can you make your practice satisfying, right? And to break a bad habit. This is equally important, right? We all have bad habits that get in our way. Sometimes we don't even realize. But and then to do that, make it invisible. So the cues for bad habits, try and make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult and unsatisfying. So look at the dangers, the problems, the difficulties, and things like that. Even in the sensual world, right? Is sensual world energizing or tiring? Think about maintaining a relationship, maintaining your job, maintaining a family, organizing a dinner party, going out to the movies, right? Tiring. It is tiring, not energizing. So look at the downsides of these things. So I'm not going to go into detail, but this is what it is about. So you can apply accordingly. And it also has other supporting concepts like habit stacking. So this is interesting for us. I'll talk a little bit and give some ideas, and maybe we can discuss. You can come up with some ideas also of how can we stack our habits. It is like using something that you already do. We already have some habits, some very general habits that you do when you wake up in the morning, as you go through your day, when you go to sleep. There are a few things that you do. You can see whether you can do some interesting things from the spiritual path to that. So that is stacking a habit, right? So something you're already doing and you stack it on, which is smart way of doing things. And environment design, and there is also the idea of plateau of latent potential. I'll tell you a little bit about what that is, and that is sometimes, because what we are talking about here is just 1% gain, right? Small little things. If you talk about doing big things, we are going to give up after 2 or 3 days because we can't sustain. But if it is something very small, we'll do it. But the thing is, it takes a while for the results to come. So sometimes what can happen, you'll do what I say. I'll make some nice, attractive suggestions for you. You'll do it for about a month and say, nothing's happening, I don't think this works. So the thing is, these things takes time. So you go through a plateau, right? So don't give up. Don't give up. It's nothing anyway. It's simple things. That's why do 2 or 3 simple things and continuously do. After a long period of time, check it out. Check out how you have changed. And if you notice, then you know actually this works. So be aware of that plateau of latent potential. You can read all about it here. So only very briefly. So it's only 20 minutes to go, so most of this I'm not going to be able to go through, but let's talk about some interesting, shall we talk about some things that you can incorporate into your own life? So to get an idea what you can do, right? So some things that I thought and some things that I do myself as well are little things. So you might laugh when I say this, but it's okay, I don't mind. So we all have a shower every day, or sometimes a couple of times a week, whenever you're having a shower, right? If you're doing it every day, it's better for habit to work. If it is something you do, when you're soaping your body, just take a couple of seconds or even a minute to give a bit of kindness, love and care to your body. Some people are very passionate about their cars. You should see how they wash and polish their cars. But your body is your vehicle too, right? It has been there with you, allowing you to do so many things in life. We have to have a bit of gratitude. But what do? We are very good at complaining when it's sick or one little part of it is not functioning. We complain like anything. Poor body. It's good to think about and have gratitude, right? So this is the starting point of a bit of self-care. We need that. We need to look after this body. We need to care for ourselves. That attitude of love, care, affection to your body, done through that tiny little bit. Does it take time? Is it too hard to do? I've given a clear place to do it. Easy too, because you're already massaging yourself or putting soap on your body. It's a nice time, like you give a gentle rub and think about, thank you body, and I care about you. Just few seconds. Do it every day and see. Maybe it might make a difference in how you also not only care for yourself, but also for other people. Because that's that little thing that goes in your head, right? It slowly become big and helpful. This is something that is helpful. Very simple. I'm not sure everybody would want to do this. There are alternative things as well. But if you are brave enough, then when you wake up every morning, first thing when you wake up, when you notice that you have woken up, just tell yourself, today could be my last day. Are you all okay with that? It's going to be one day, right? One day it's going to be. You are not going to get any warnings ahead of time. So one day it's going to be. But what happens if you bring that idea and make it real? So not to do it in an automatic way, not in a mindless way. Especially with this one, you won't be mindful because mindless, because it's a bit important, right? If you're going to die, the idea is kind of interesting. So when you bring that idea of today might be my last day, as it sinks in, you will see some shifts, I hope, on how you conduct yourself. Yeah, is there any room to hold on grudges? Disappointments, upsets, regrets. We can't, right? We don't want to die like that. We want to make amends. And we also want to try and do the right thing. Bring up joy, bring up peace. The path becomes a priority. We can't wait. We realize, we can't wait till we get all of these things out of the way. We have to get this out of the way before we do anything else. That idea slowly comes in. Is this just my suggestion, or did the Buddha say this? The Buddha said this, right? The power of maranasati, the power of reflecting on death. It's just not any complicated meditation. You can do complicated meditations to make it fun. But in the Buddha's teachings, it's simply remembering, I could die anytime. I don't know when. This is the idea. This is what is powerful. Because we all know that we are going to die. But the idea that I don't know when, this is what brings on some energy. This is also very helpful if you feel like you're getting slacked with your practice. This happens sometimes, especially after a long time, your initial energy starts to go down and you sit, I'm sitting, meditating, nothing's happening. I don't get joy. Am I progressing or going backwards? Why am I doing this? I've had enough of this. Does this work? If any of those things come to your mind, if this gets into you every day, if you did like this, you actually would find yourself living life better, right? You have no choice, because nobody wants to die in a bad state. So that is why it's such a simple thing to do. Wake up and think, it might be my last day. That's all. Another small little thing. These are habit stacks, right? Because you wake up and then there's something that you do just before you get out of bed. You do this and then you get out of your bed and do what you do next. So this is how you stack it with something. Very easy, doesn't take any time. but hopefully bring some results. Another thing, when you go to sleep, right? When you lie in your bed and ready, you turn and now you're ready to sort of fall asleep. Just before that, you can just bring a sense of gratitude. If you got something useful, if somebody did something kind to you, you can bring that up and bring a sense of gratitude. Or if you did an act of kindness, right? Most people here do this all the time, many things in a day. Bring that, wow, I had that opportunity to give, right? Just bring that up into your mind. Or if you saw somebody else do something to you bring that up. So something like that to uplift your mind. And then you can leave it aside because it's only a few seconds and you go to sleep. But it would do something to your dreams, even if you die, because some people didn't wake up today, isn't it? Some people did not. And one day it might be me. So if we went to bed with a good kind of thing, there are many things, I'm just suggesting. Another thing is you can spread love to all the beings in the world, metta, anything. I'm just suggesting how you can stack a habit. And it's not a long thing, not asking you to do half an hour of metta meditation before you go to sleep. If I ask that, you might do a couple of days, but you'll forget it. But this one, you can do it, right? It will. You will eventually get to that. When you are inspired enough, you'd say, this is not enough. I actually want to really do gratitude a lot more or do metta meditation a lot more. It will eventually come when you are ready, right? But this is just a small thing to do that will get you there. So this is working on the systems and working on these small little places to build those up so they work. So there are many things that I thought. Another thing, is this helpful? Yeah? Another thing, like when you are having your breakfast, you can bring the idea of karma and vipaka. My intentional actions have consequences. This we all know, but we don't bring it up enough. Because if you remembered that, would you really say anything that is hurtful for anybody, anytime? Do anything that is hurtful or harmful? We won't, right? But we forget momentarily that the consequences of our actions, sometimes big time, right? Big time, we forget it. And we go right ahead and do stupid things in our life. So if this is repeated many times, because we know, we already know karma, but we don't bring it on, make it current enough times. So something like that will have far-reaching consequences. Now that we only have 10 minutes to go, I'm going to tell a story. So that is all about the book. The rest you have to read and apply and see what we go. We can have a catch-up session maybe another time where people can, after having read that, can tell how you read it, how you applied it. Was it a waste of time or not? Maybe I'm just suggesting. If it is appropriate, we can do that. If not, we don't have to. But here I promise that I will tell you how can we apply the Noble Eightfold Path in the daily life. Who is doing that already? Sort of. Not sure. You think you are doing but not sure? Okay, let's see. I'm going to tell a story and see what happens. This is a story that I missed telling yesterday, but some people already know this. Never mind, this is one of my favorites. Everybody's going to hear this until I die. You'll be sick and tired of it, but I enjoy it. So, this is a story from my own life when I went to Santi Forest Monastery 4 years ago. So it's a new monastery. It's actually quite a wild monastery, like a wild forest, not a wild monastery, wild forest, scary. So when I first arrived there, I thought I need to familiarize myself. I didn't want to certainly get lost. I want to know the place. It's a 150-acre natural forest. So one fine, beautiful morning, I went for a walk. So when you're going in a place where you don't know, you of course walk very mindfully, quietly. But after a while, I met another nun who also went with me walking. She also had the same idea. What happens when two people meet? We start talking. What happens to your mindfulness? Starts to drop. I certainly dropped my mindfulness, but the other nun had a little bit more mindfulness, but I certainly had good luck, which is why I'm sitting in front of you and talking. Okay, so we were walking down a narrow path, And so she was in front of me, and she suddenly put her hand out to stop me. And when I stopped, there was a red belly black snake. I don't know whether you know them in Western Australia. They're as bad or worse than the tiger snakes here. Really, really powerful, quite venomous. And it's a really big one too. It's a really big black snake. It has already lifted itself up and was ready to strike. Can strike quite high. We were half an hour away from the main area where the telephones are, where the vehicles are, where the people are. If we got bitten, no way we are going to make it back. By the time we walk, the poison would reach our heart and we'll be dead. And we can't, even if we scream, nobody would hear. We were that far. So if you met a snake like that, what is going to be your honest response? How would you react? What would you do? Tell me. Run. Yes, that's what exactly I thought. Run. Because I was so scared. What else? Scream. Yeah, of course. Scream. It happens. Freeze. Yes. Scream is also true. Some people would scream. Some people would run. Some people would freeze. Of course, nobody here would do the other one because we are all Buddhists and we have taken our precepts. But some people kill also, right? Some people, because if it is in a farm, it can be a threat to their wild, the stock or for the children. So this is also common response, to kill. So let's just work with these 4 things. When we meet a black snake, we could either scream, run, freeze, or kill. So this is normally, I also thought of running. But of course the other nun who was with me had a different idea. She held my hand very strongly that I couldn't move. In my head I was thinking, what are you doing? Let's run. But I didn't say it because she was very calm. Because she's calm, I calm down. Also, and I trust her, so I thought she had a different plan. And I also sort of knew if I try to run, the snake can outrun me, and this is not a good idea anyway. So we just stopped for a little while, which is normal because you also said freeze. And then we took a few steps back. And what she did after that is the really interesting part that I want to talk about. She spoke to the snake in the sweetest kind of voice. She's also a very sweet person. And said, I can't repeat, but I'll try my very best. Said, oh, we didn't know you were here. It's such a beautiful day. You must be having a nice sunbathing. We were just going for a walk. But we don't have to go that way. We are going to go back. Have a really nice day. Enjoy your day. It was really sweet. Really full of love, a lot of respect the way she spoke. But of course, we know the snakes are deaf. Even if they could hear, do they know English? But did the snake understand? Yes, if you have had pets, you know. They don't know the concept of sunbathing or anything like that, but the snake could feel the respect with which we were interacting. It realized, because I could see its glassy eyes looking at us. I can still remember that. Really watching what is going on, ready to strike if need be, or not if otherwise. So watching. And was saying that we are trying to do something, would feel the energy of our minds, of hers, not mine. I was a bit scared, but I was calming down, luckily. And the respect, the kindness, the love, the sweetness. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. So if I was that snake, I would have been flattered. I think the snake was. But anyway, so now my question is, do you meet black snakes in your day-to-day life? Do you meet black snakes? No? Yes. Black snake situations, right? Situations that trigger terror, fear, anger, lots of desires, even sadness, anything, right? How do you respond? React. How do you react? Same ways, right? When something like that happens, some people scream, some people freeze, some people run away, some people kill the situation. We have probably done them all in different occasions. Can you relate to that? To the person, to the situation. This is our natural reaction, habitual reaction, even to other things. But do we have a choice? We do. The problem is we have forgotten that we have a choice. I'm so glad that this happened and this nun behaved in this way, that it suddenly showed me and opened up a whole array of things, which is why this has become my number one favorite story, also a lesson in my own life, which is why I repeat, because I apply it, I realize the benefit of it, that I have a choice every time, as I receive the world. As I receive the world. Do you understand when I say receive the world? You receive through sight, you receive through sound, taste, touch, right? You receive experiences. As you receive, how do you receive? And what is your reaction? Reactions are usually conditioned by our past, conditioned by defilements, right? And wrong views. But the whole part of the spiritual path is about responses. What is the difference between reaction and response? Mindful engagement. This is where mindfulness is so important. All of our, whether it's a reaction or a response, whether it's good or bad, they are conditioned. Our choices are conditioned. But we still can choose good or bad depending on our right view, right understanding, how much Dhamma we know, and how much mindfulness we have. So mindfully engaging, we can change the course. We realize we have a choice. So this is where you apply your Noble Eightfold Path. 6 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path can be applied here. I will tell you which ones you can't in every moment is your job. Like Samma Ajiva is about your job. That's something you have to decide. It's not in every moment. And deep meditation. So Samma Samadhi is also later. But this is what leads to the Samma Samadhi. So if you've chosen a good job, that is correct. And if you do these other 6 factors, every time you have experience, every time you contact the world, every time you receive, you have this ability, and this is where you're applying yourself, all 6 factors. So here I go, I'm now only 1 minute, I'm going to go over time. Is that okay? Are you happy? Okay. Okay, so right view. So I'm just saying only a little bit. You have to do homework to put the whole of the right view. It will be a lifetime job, but right view informs us. Your intentional actions have consequences. So if we try to harm that snake, kill it or do something bad, right? We know there are consequences, so that is not a good way to do. Or so rather, if you do something kind, something respectful, something wholesome, something good, then that's good. So right view informs us, okay, this is the right choice, not that. Don't kill, don't do that, but do this. So that is where the choice is, right? Right view is there. And then right intention. Right intention is about non-harming, non-cruelty, right? So other aspects you can apply to your own thing, even renunciation, right? That is the 3rd factor. I'm going very quickly, but you get it because you know that Dhamma. I'm just showing you this is happening in every place, right? Everything you do. Right speech. Was her speech right? Sweet, nice, not harsh, not lying, not divisive, right? Right speech. Kind speech. Words that goes to the heart, right? If you speak like that, actually, it's a successful communication. Have you ever achieved when you went into a conversation with your big ego and with a bit of anger and irritation? Very difficult to achieve anything useful. Even if you have, it's not much. So, this is really important. So, right speech, right action is again not killing, not stealing, all of those things you apply to that situation. So, you have a choice, right? And then, of course, in order to do that, do you need some mindfulness? So, this is not really called the right mindfulness, not samma sati, but sati sampajanya. This is mindfulness and clear comprehension, which is the starting point. This is what then we can build into right mindfulness. And also doing this is your right effort. What are you doing? You are staying clear of unwholesome ways of behaving because you have a choice, right? Because your reaction, the habitual reaction was more veering towards unwholesome. But with your mindful engagement, your response is now veering towards wholesome. So this is now going into right effort. So can you see? So I said very briefly, and not full session, but just to show every time when you're receiving and responding, you can apply 6 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. So if you are actually doing this as much as possible, I mean, we can't be perfect, but we can, right? Little by little. So this is your system, right? This is your system. So find out, and many things are repeated things, repeated black snake, same kind of snake all the time. So you can reflect back, understand, how am I going to deal with this in a skillful way? Is it possible? It is possible. This is how you apply. Otherwise you wonder, how am I going to do this? So this is why. So you put small things, big things, think about things, because somebody wanted how to change mental habits. So this is precisely that. Your attitude about the snake. Our attitudes usually about the snake is scary, it can kill me, it'll be painful, they're bad, they're yucky. We have very bad things. Poor snake. Snakes are probably another, animal, another being, probably living with fear, thinking what's going to happen to me, lost and, all these things. We never think about snakes like that, right? It's hard, but you can. I don't have time, I'm sorry, but there was a really nice, sweet story of a nun who's from New Zealand where there are no snakes. So she didn't have this kind of bad attitude, and she was in America and she was warned to be careful about rattlesnakes. But she was meditating outside and had a really nice, peaceful meditation. And when she woke up, when she opened her eyes, there was something looking at her. And so sweet, so nice. So, there was a cute snake. That's what she thought. Cute snake with big eyes looking at me. And she felt like the snake was asking her to follow her. And it turned around. So she decides to follow the snake, this cute little snake. After a while, as she was walking and coming out a little bit more from her meditation, she heard the rattling sound. And she remembered her instruction. And she got a bit fear, because rattlesnakes are supposed to be quite dangerous. So when she got fear, the snake also got fear, and snake luckily ran in one direction and she ran in the other direction. But the point of the story is, we have bad views about these things, about these people, about these situations. This is where right view is so important, not just mindfulness, right? Mindfulness isn't enough. Right view is important, and replacing wrong view. So we have so much wrong views in our life, right? So changing those things. So I actually end up giving a Dhamma talk rather than doing a book club. But the idea is to inspire you to how to apply it. Did it make sense? Yes? Okay, all right. That I'm going to stop. I'm 5 minutes past time. Is that okay? Forgive me for that. All right. Sorry we didn't have enough time to go through. Because there's another session, which is why we can't even really go over time. But so enjoy your book, or just whatever, enjoy your practice. Take care.